Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast live. Thanks for coming in. What we're going to do here, we got some pretty interesting topics tonight. You can see my man G is back with us. Definitely glad to have him. We got some pretty interesting topics for you tonight. Going to talk mostly NBA, and then we're going to finish it out with some NFL. But before we get to that, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. All right, so as I mentioned before, we got my man Genius back. Definitely glad to have him on the scene. What up, G?
Bruce, had a little sound hiccup there. How's it going, man?
I hear you, brother. Man, it's going good, man. It's going good. Definitely glad to see you, man. Love your perspective. So always good to have you back on the show, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. So if you're coming in the chat, make sure first and foremost you give us that like. Definitely appreciate it, and let us know where you're coming from. But we are going to go ahead and get started. Only got one in here, but hopefully we pick it up soon. But let's go ahead and get started. First topic, Coach Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks. And this was an interesting topic to me, obviously, because the New York Knicks they're going to Game 7 tomorrow against the Indiana Pacers. And they have the opportunity, if they win this game, to be in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 1999. I want to say that was the Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell group that eventually lost in the NBA Finals to San Antonio Spurs. I think that was a lockout shortened season too, if I'm not mistaken. And that was Tim Duncan and David Robinson's first championship together. And I think, the first championship in the Spurs dynasty. So this will be the first time since then. And the Boston Celtics are obviously waiting for the winner of this Pacers and Knicks series in the Eastern Conference Finals. But there's been like a lot of, I'm not going to say controversy, but a lot of questions around Coach Tom Thibodeau and how he's handling the Knicks, and if his coaching style and the way he does things, the extreme shortness of the rotation, and how hard he pushes his guys all season long and all of that, if that has led to some of the injuries that we're seeing with the Knicks, and if that is putting the Knicks in a position where he's grinding his players too much, playing them too many minutes, and it's, putting him in a position where they won't be able to capitalize. Because as we know, the NBA playoffs is a 2-month long season of its own. So if you've been grinding them tough all year long and then you continue to grind them, you got these guys playing, Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and Hartenstein, and all these guys are playing like 40 minutes plus in the playoffs, and that's crazy. There's been a number of games where Josh Hart has played 48 minutes, and he got a little nicked up, right? He got a little nicked up in the game yesterday. And so people are wondering, and they have been wondering, is it Tom Thibodeau? Is his way of doing things ever going to lead to success in the modern NBA? And I think I mentioned this last time, that in the anonymous player survey conducted by The Athletic, Tom Thibodeau was voted by the coach that they would least like to play for, and that's because of his grind mode mentality. So let's do this. I want to get some commentary from first from Mike Greenberg from ESPN Get Up, and he's going to talk a little bit about that coaching style. Then we're going to hear something from Knicks star Jalen Brunson, and then we'll come back. We'll get G's thoughts, and then we'll go from there.
So I don't know that the criticism is totally unfair. This is Tibbs we're talking about. And again, I say this with love for the guy. He worked here at ESPN when he was in between coaching jobs, and I came to really like him. I feel like I know him and like him a lot. But I can tell you what tree he's from. He's from the Pat Riley tree. Now, it might be indirect. I'm not sure if he ever actually worked for Riley, but he worked for Van Gundy, who worked for Riley. Jeff Van Gundy, I'm talking about. So and I'm going to tell you a story now that I'm old enough to remember when people used to say Pat Riley's Knicks would run out of gas because he played them so hard and worked them so hard. And I remember covering Bulls-Knicks series in the early 90s. And on the off days, we'd all go to practice. And the Bulls would have a walkthrough and a film session. One day, Phil Jackson decided they're not even going to practice. He took them all on a boat cruise around New York City. I'm not making this up. Phil Jackson, on an off day between games in New York, took them on one of those boat cruises around to look at like the New York City sights because he felt his team just needed to get away from it. In the meantime, Pat Riley was running 2-hour practices during the playoffs, working his guys into the ground, which is right. I don't know. That's the reason that Phil's teams always won those. The main reason they always won those was that they had a guy who wore the number 23. But what I'm saying is Thibodeau comes, he came by this honestly. That's his coaching DNA. That's what he learned. You play your guys. You work hard. You let the chips fall where they may.
All right, G. So let's get to you, and then we'll hear from Jalen Brunson. What are your thoughts on this? You, as somebody who played up to the collegiate level, what type of coach worked best for you, and do you believe in the coach that's a grinder and works his players super hard all the time?
So first of all, let me start here. I think for a long time, this has been the first time we've seen a competitive game this late in the season, right? Like Game 7, we got 2 Game 7s going on, both the West and the East. But I'm gonna concentrate on the East for a second because, if the Knicks win, then they'll probably have to face the Celtics, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably have to face the Celtics.
Yeah, they will.
And so when you look at coaches, like I think Tibbs is trying to put his team in a position to actually win the entire chip by like making sure that they stay conditioned, they stay focused. But in terms of like coaches and what coaches work for me best, I've had all of them, good, bad, and and probably the worst, right? But I think the toughest coaches were the ones that kept you going, right, all year long. You just training all year because you're constantly getting better. I think his team is young enough to where he can run them to the ground, and because of how the league is set up with the multiple, I think if you look at it now, like you get like 2 or 3 games off per game. So if you do play 48 minutes, you got like a day in between your next game. So the play is it's in the player's favor to have those days off, but it's also in the coach's favor as well because now they can recreate. They got time to recreate and plan for those next games and pretty much what they saw. That's why you see the 7-game series, right? Some of them are lopsided, but yeah, when it comes to coaches, I played for Charlie Moore, Herman Haree, Ken Tyler, others, just to name a few. Some of them was good, some of them was bad. Well, I shouldn't say some of them was good, some of them was bad. But some of them they focused on conditioning early in the year, and then when the season started, they kind of backed off, and it was more coaching versus conditioning in the middle of the year or load balancing or players playing 48. Your stars are going to play the whole game. Just they might sit for a second in the playoffs, but they're going to play the whole game. The entire season, the reason why they get to sit as much as they do because they know if they make the playoffs, they're going to be playing the entire game. And so I think
isn't there something to be said for getting yourself in that prime condition and making sure your body is ready to be able to handle it, because the playoffs are a grind. We know they're more physical. We see that the refs are letting more physicality go. And again, if you make it all the way through, that's 2 months of basketball you're playing. So, I mean, isn't there something to be said for having your body ready by going through a tough regular season? For instance, if we in the clip that we heard from Greeny, he talked about Pat Riley coaching the Knicks, right? So remember, before that, Pat Riley won 4 championships with the Lakers, and everyone looks at Showtime run and gun, but what they're not realizing is the way Showtime played, the type of condition those teams had to be in. And if you go back and you read books about the Lakers or you read books about Pat Riley, I've read a couple, or books about Magic, they'll tell you Pat Riley was a taskmaster in terms of the physical conditioning piece. And they even talk about it in Miami. Shaq talks about how when he left the Lakers to go to Miami, Pat Riley, I think, made him lose like 60 pounds. And all these guys that tell you how there's weekly weigh-ins. I think I heard Eddie House talking about that. So Pat Riley has always been very much on guys being in peak physical condition to be able to play the game at a high level and to be able to take the punishment that the game puts on your body. And so I'm not so sure why it's such a big deal that Tibbs is doing it this way, because I think also part of it is his mentality, right? Obviously, he's not a glamorous guy. He's a tough guy. He believes in defense. He believes in rebounding, all the things that take a tremendous amount of energy for you to do, right? You know this better than I do. It takes a lot more energy to play defense hard for 48 minutes than it does to try to be an offensive guy for 48 minutes. Am I right?
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, if you hear Meta World Peace, he talks about when he used to play and he was in the NBA and he's doing his drills and stuff like that. He said he would do defensive slides for 30 minutes or an hour before he even ever picked up the ball to try and shoot. And we know what type of defender that guy was. So I don't know if it's how much the game has changed today or how much the players have changed today or the mentality is different or what, but I don't see too much issue with the way Tibbs is going about it. We know it's an old school mentality, but I don't know.
Yeah, the game is definitely, the one of the biggest knocks on the league. I think it was the teams were playing too soft. The defense intensity wasn't there. People
Mhm,
wasn't boxing out, and so
mhm,
anytime as a coach, you see those things as red flags, and you don't want your team to do that. I think that's why the Knicks are where they are right now, is
mhm,
because they had a coach that come in and say, "Hey, look, we're gonna play defense. We're gonna defend the ball. We're gonna put,
mhm.
we're gonna outwork you, so to
Yeah,
speak." And the only way to do that, you have to. The culture hasn't been like that since probably Pat Riley, or
that's right.
so
Right.
so. Knicks fans love it, right? I was a Knicks fan. I'm in and out, depending on the year, but
Right.
I'm not ashamed to say that. But yeah, I think it's good basketball, especially for the East. The East has been like the easiest walk to the finals, and
Yeah.
now
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the subpar superstars stay in the East for as long as they have,
Mhm, mhm.
instead of back in the '90s, or I'll say the early 2000s. The way to go was through the Mamba, right? Right. If you went to the West, it was a different style of basketball. You knew it. You knew that every game mattered. I think there was like five. I don't want to get off subject, but it was probably like the difference between getting to the playoffs was like 5 games, right, in between
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So it was always extremely competitive. The West was
Mhm,
always extremely competitive, and that's why everybody wanted to go there. That was after Mike left.
mhm. Yeah, I
So
agree. I agree.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that we have these matchups. Really good basketball right now because it's been
Yeah.
washed. It's been a wash at times, but yeah, they got a good chance. They got motor to do it. I don't think 48 game every other day is going to really kill anybody, right? Like you got, at this day
You
and
got an
age,
old school mentality, clearly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
That's all good though. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah,
I
well,
think about it the same way.
yeah,
So it's funny that obviously in that clip we heard Greeny brought up Pat Riley and you talked about rebounding and defense. And again, everybody thinks about Pat Riley and the Lakers and winning 4 championships with Showtime. But what they don't realize is Pat Riley was the guy who coined the phrase "no rebounds, no rings." And for the life of me, again, I know it's a different game now. I'm totally lost as to why there is such less focus on rebounding in the modern NBA. It drives me nuts when I watch some of these games. But this is how, with limited star power, the New York Knicks have been able to stay around. Like you see games where Isaiah Hartenstein has like 10 freaking offensive rebounds in the game. These guys, they really, really hit the glass. Now they didn't do it so well last night, but they've got game 7 coming up and we'll see if they can dig deep and fight their way out of there and get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But they really do play like an old school team. So yeah, it's interesting to see. But let's hear what Jalen Brunson had to say following the loss the other night against the Indiana Pacers. And I thought it was interesting, especially when we juxtapose it with what we're talking about now in terms of the short rotation and guys getting hurt and all that. Let's hear what Jalen Brunson had to say.
There are a lot of things that obviously physically don't go our way with our team this year, and but I think our main focus is that whoever we have out there, regardless of what you're dealing with or anything, if you're out there, you're ready to go. And that's just been our mindset. And so, yeah, Josh asks us to come out, but he comes back in and gives everything he has. And so, I mean, when working at Astro for a teammate. And so I just, no matter what the situation is, we're going to have each other's backs. And yeah.
What, kind of on that note, what you know of Josh, what would you say about his status for Game 7?
I mean, I would assume he's playing. It's Game 7.
I love his mentality. I love Jalen Brunson's mentality. I would assume he's playing. It's Game 7. Like, none of that. And he seems to sound like a competitor, like we're going to get out here and we're going to do what we got to do, and we're going to play and we're going to try to make something happen. And I love that.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely looked like he was locked in for a long time now. Just as appearance on that still photo that you had, it looked like he's
Yeah.
I was like, hey, bro, yeah. So he you can tell he locked in. Like that's the look of somebody that's locked in.
Right.
And it doesn't look like he's making them hit the weights as much as we think. So
that's true too.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to touch on, back to Greeny's comments earlier in this segment when he was talking about Pat Riley and having the New York Knicks but undergo 2-hour practices in the middle of the playoffs. Meanwhile, Phil Jackson, he knows how to kind of let his guys take it easy and when to back off and all that. But again, that's just Pat Riley's mentality as a grinder. I think he was a coach's son, and he played at Kentucky. I think he played for Adolph Rupp, and then he played in the NBA for the Lakers. I think he won 1 championship as a player. Obviously, he was never a superstar, but Pat Riley, is that kind of guy that he had to fight and grind for everything he had. And so Greeny brought up, do some people think that Pat Riley's mentality and the way he really grinded his teams, does that have anything to do with the fact that they didn't win a championship? And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, like Greeny said, a big part of them not getting past Chicago was Chicago had that guy wearing number 23, right? Michael Jordan kept a whole lot of dudes from winning championships. So I can't attribute that to Pat Riley. And then when Michael Jordan wasn't there, he breaks through in 1994. And unfortunately for the Knicks and Pat Riley, it wasn't that they didn't have anything left. It's just that Olajuwon was that much better than Patrick Ewing, and the Rockets were just a little better as a team. Olajuwon locked up Patrick Ewing in the finals and had him at 36% shooting for that entire series. So, that was that. Looks like we lost G for a second. Hopefully he'll be back here with us. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead and got a couple people in here. So I'm gonna open up the phone lines and see if we can get any calls in regarding Tom Thibodeau's coaching style and the Knicks, and if you think that maybe the way he coaches them so hard has something to do with the difficulties they're facing and the injuries and so on and so forth. So the number is 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. All right, you go ahead and call in and let us know your thoughts on this topic. Okay, looks like we got no calls on that one. If you have something to say about that, you can still go ahead and call in. But at this point, we are going to move ahead and we're going to talk Los Angeles Lakers. And this one should be interesting. Good, G? Like I lost you there for a second, bro.
Yeah, I'm working through some stuff.
Okay. Well, technical difficulties happens to the best of us. But let's talk JJ Redick and let's talk Los Angeles Lakers head coaching search. So as we know, Darvin Ham, he lost his job, and we talked about that. Yeah, no, definitely. What's up, Nino? Glad to see you back in, man. Both luck plays a factor. Yeah, luck definitely plays a factor in terms of guys getting injured in terms of a playoff run, etc. So definitely know about that. But yeah, Lakers head coach search. As we know, Darvin Ham lost his job, and Of course, there's a lot of speculation that LeBron James played a major role in that happening. Of course, LeBron James is going to act like he didn't, so it is what it is. Now we've got, whoa. If anybody's watching the fight right now, Tyson Fury's in big trouble against Alexander Usyk, and ooh, this is a tough one. But anyway, yeah. So Darvin Ham, he lost his job, and now the Lakers are looking for a new head coach. And why this is interesting to me is because it's emerging that one of the major names in this head coaching search is JJ Redick, who coincidentally has never been a head coach before, and more coincidentally is LeBron's buddy and LeBron's co-host on the Mind the Game podcast. Now, this was funny because when that podcast started, I did a show about it. I did a segment about it on the live shows, and one of the things that I was very adamant about and was thinking from the very beginning was that show was going to be a propaganda arm for LeBron James. Now, let me be clear: the show had a lot of good stuff, X's and O's wise, but one of the other things I said was if you are going to watch that show, you can get good stuff, X's and O's wise, but you also have to be prepared to know what you're getting in terms of LeBron James continuing to push his narrative and that being what it was going to be. So if you could deal with that and kind of put that to the side, then you could get the X's and O's stuff. But now it appears that JJ Redick is one of the main people in the coaching search. And I'm like, wait a minute. Was this all part of the plan from the beginning? Because as we know, LeBron James is an extremely, extremely calculated guy. He never does anything without putting the plan in motion first. So could this have all been something that he was working towards by doing the Mind the Game podcast? That's basically a weeks long audition where JJ Redick gets to show his X's and O's acumen and get to kind of show his chops and possibly be auditioning without technically auditioning for being the Lakers head coach. I don't know. G, what are some of your thoughts on that? And then we'll hear what media personality and longtime sports writer Rob Parker had to say on the topic.
Yeah. So with the Darvin Ham and the Lakers, I think he'll get another job somewhere else. I think he'll get a coaching gig somewhere else. He did a lot of great things, but it looked like he lost his guys towards the end of the season, and that may have been what got well. That may be what will get JJ Redick hired as a head coaching job. I think there's a lot of other players players that coach now that's been in that pipeline for a long time and looking for they have the resume and they're looking for an opportunity to succeed. I don't know if they're going to be a good fit with the Lakers being in a rebuild stage now. I think they're definitely in a rebuild stage. So if I was a coach, I wouldn't touch it only because I know is eventually they either going to lose LeBron or rebuild, and
LeBron's not going anywhere.
yeah, like the playoffs. Right.
Okay.
It probably won't happen. It probably won't happen. But I mean, anybody that does decide to take on that job or that role, they definitely need to know that they'll be walking into possibly a losing season, just because of the way the league is. LeBron is going into his 22nd year. Yeah, that money is locked up over there. So you're pretty much walking into a situation where you need to rebuild. And so if JJ is willing to take that, I like to see Mark Jackson in that space only because, he's pretty good at picking players and coaching young guys. So I'm not sure if JJ will have the testicular fortitude and or sand to get these guys in a place where they need to succeed. So that's my 2 cents.
I'm going to disagree with you on that a bit. I don't think any coach is walking into a losing situation there. Now, are they going to win a championship? No, but the Lakers aren't showing me that they're all in on winning a championship at this point anyway, because they said they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep LeBron. Basically, they want to keep LeBron under any terms. And so they don't appear to me that they want badly to win a championship. They want to continue to do the Lakers thing, and that's be star-studded and have big names and all that. I also think that between LeBron and Anthony Davis, as long as one or both of those guys is healthy, they're in a position where that team can be good enough to make the playoffs and be competitive. And maybe with the right matchups, right? Because we know, as they say, quote unquote, styles make fights, then they can be in the right position to maybe make a deep playoff run. And so my issue is more so JJ Redick. He's all right. So he's never been a head coach before. I think there's certain franchises you should not ever be a first-time head coach. The Celtics, the Yankees, the Cowboys. You see what I'm saying? Big name franchises like that. The Packers, the Steelers. Although Mike Tomlin was a first-time head coach, and obviously he's never had a losing season in like 16 years, which is absolutely crazy in the NFL. But the point is, in most of those banner franchises, such as the Lakers, I don't think you should be a first-time head coach. And then the other problem is, again, like, this is basically just LeBron's boy, right? So you got to think about that. But before we go deeper into that piece, let's go ahead and hear what a longtime award-winning sports writer, sports journalism professor at University of Southern California, and Fox Sports radio personality Rob Parker had to say on his show, The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard. Let's check that out, and then we'll come back and further discuss it.
Yeah, I think it's just a bad situation for a couple reasons. The Lakers are supposed with LeBron and stuff. You're putting a novice, Chris. It doesn't mean that he doesn't know basketball or whatever, and he played in the league or whatever. But it just doesn't seem like that should be his first gig. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't seem like that should be his first gig, and that's the biggest problem I have with it. And then the other thing too is, how the other players are going to respond, with him and LeBron, and they have podcasts together. And is this LeBron talking, or is this you? You know what I mean?
Udonis Haslem said almost that exact statement, Rob. Rob G, you find the Udonis Haslem quote. And remember, Haslem played with LeBron. But he said essentially exactly what you just said, Rob.
That's the issue you have. You have a chance of alienating your teammates, and then you don't know, and then when things get changed or something happen, people be like, oh, yeah, that was LeBron. You know what I mean? LeBron's doing this, and I don't know who's doing. Or if LeBron says something to J.J. Redick in his ear or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just sets up, they're too close. It's just a bad the optics are bad. So
here's the thing, right? If you had a coach and you know that you very recently played against this dude and you busted you gave him the work, right? You handed this dude some work on the floor. How are you going to have this dude out here coaching you and telling you what you need to do, or if need be chastising you or benching you? Like, that doesn't work. That's my first thought. Second thought is, again, the closeness between him and LeBron James. What happens if, for whatever reason, he has to chastise LeBron James, right? What happens if he has to do that? Is he going to have the sand and, as you mentioned, the testicular fortitude to do that? Is he going to be able to say, "Hey, LeBron, get over"? Like, coaches with much more seniority, much more knowledge, much more experience than him haven't been able to do that. So if you're the Lakers, why would you do that? Also, if you're JJ Redick, you know that you are eventually going to become the scapegoat. You know that is you're in line just to be the next victim. So all these things are like, why? Your thoughts on what Rob Parker had to say about this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with him more. It'll be a 1-year deal for whatever coach that decides to come in there. You need to taking that type of job. You would need the power, the GM power, to bring in your players. That's the only way people are going to listen to you. Like, there's a lot of times on a bench you saw during timeouts where there wasn't a lot of people wasn't even in the huddle with Hand. It's almost like they didn't want to hear what he was saying. I'm not sure if that's a Lakers style, if that's the way things go, right, from a professional standpoint as a coach. Maybe he didn't have the resume for people to listen, right? And that's one of the things that JJ will probably walk into if they decide to pick him up now, um, you have to know what you're talking about. And the moment you lose your players' confidence, you lost your team. And I think that's what Dalvin Ham seen. When he kept well, I ain't gonna point no scenarios out, but there was instances where some players he should have benched and thought about his job and not the player, right? Because no one's bigger than the team, but and at LA, LeBron is bigger than the team, so just
which is crazy, right?
yeah, you need to bring somebody. I think you bring somebody in with a lot more poise, a lot more experience of building teams and coaching players, and they're able to give you something different because I mean 4-10 is not it. So you definitely need a coach that can get you to the level of championship mode for you and your team. And so if LeBron is this GM or he has this influence in the locker room and in the front office, then he need to probably bring a player in or coach in, a player coach or coach that used to play or whoever's available that has the resume to say, hey, look, they can turn teams around. Sometimes it's just giving people opportunities. I'm not saying JJ can't do it, but I just feel like he would have to be a different style coach, and they have to be detached from the arms of LeBron.
I don't think there's any coach in the league that's going to be able to do that. With
Yeah.
LeBron's bona fides, what he has accomplished in the league, how long he's been in the league, he's just going to do what he wants to do. I've said this for years, that this is not a coachable guy. I don't know where the narrative comes from that, well, it comes from him and Clutch, right? But there's a narrative out there that, because he's so smart, he's coachable, this, that, and that. He's not a coachable guy. We've seen that with all the coaches that he's gotten out of there. We've seen that. We just saw it with Darvin Ham, like to your point, literally ignoring Darvin Ham in the huddle and walking away while he's still talking. Like, even if you don't, and this is something I said on the last show, even if you don't agree with the play call or whatever, right? Play along. Then when you get on the floor, you say to your teammate, hey, scratch that. We doing this, right? Because if it works out, the coach going to get the credit anyway. So who cares, right? You out there to win, but you can't be blatantly disrespecting coaches like that. But we've seen LeBron do that. I had a caller on the show a couple weeks back, and he's a Cleveland guy, and he told me, I don't know how he knows this, but he said he knows for a fact that when Mike Brown was the coach of the Cavs, and mind you, Mike Brown, I think, had a 66-win season with the Cavs and a 61-win season with the Cavs, and they fired him anyway because they were trying to keep LeBron. But anyway, when Mike Brown, who, by the way, has been coach of the year since when he was coaching LeBron, he knew for a fact that in meetings and in practice, while he's trying to, get messages across, LeBron is throwing paper and whatnot. But these are the things that they don't want you to know. And so there's this narrative out there that, LeBron is just this perfect guy. And I'm not trying to denigrate him because he's not the first or the last superstar player that's going to have done things like that. But the fact is, he's not coachable. So when we get the LeBron fans arguing, well, he's never had a great coach. Well, he wouldn't be able to deal with a great coach. Like, can you imagine if he tried to, if Coach Pop was his coach, right? Because we know how Coach Pop dealt with Tim Duncan, right? The example was, hey, if I rip you in front of the whole team and you're our best player, everybody knows they got to get in line, right? Popovich is basically the Belichick of the NBA. And so do you think LeBron is going to allow himself to be talked to like that by any coach? No. He's just not, because that's how he gets down, right? And so you hear this stuff and you're like, man, it's just so ridiculous. People arguing about LeBron never having had great coaches. Jordan had Phil Jackson. Okay. And Kobe and Shaq had Phil Jackson. Okay, cool. But those guys at least allowed themselves to be coached to some level. LeBron, can we really say that? No, we can't. And so now you've got a guy that he's been on the podcast with and a guy that clearly is someone he gets along well with. You can't have that guy as a coach because, like Rob Parker said, if he being JJ Redick gets the job and he has to chastise another player, that player is going to be like, oh, is this coming from LeBron? Right? So it's like, and then on top of that, the whole Mind the Game podcast thing, JJ Redick demonstrates his acumen with X's and O's, but even more so than X's and O's and adjustments and all that, he's an analytics guy. And there was an episode where LeBron told him, man, get the F out of here with those analytics. So JJ Redick seems to believe in numbers more than he believes in actual strategy and players. And so there's that part. So it's like, would that really work out? I think JJ Redick would be much better off. I think he's in contention for the Charlotte Hornets job as well. I think he'd be much better off taking the Hornets job. I
Yeah, I
don't
was
know.
thinking that too. It could be
Yeah.
one of those things where he's actually trying to put a coach that's likable to his son, right? It could be one of those things who favor his son. Uh, I know we talked. I don't know if it was
Mm.
earlier. We talked about Brownie getting into the league, and I think
Mhm.
this was before the show, man. You talked about it, him getting into the league, and it just could be one of those things where, he's playing chess, like you said, and he's trying to move pieces in that'll be likable to his son. I don't think his son got along with the coach down at in
USC.
college. Yeah,
Mhm.
at college, USC, and that's probably why that played a really big part of him trying to jump early. So I think you gotta.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it. So if the Lakers are going to go ahead and try to take let's see. Okay, what's up, Pam Brown? Nice to see you again. So why do all the coaches from Pop to Steve Kerr and so speak so highly of LeBron when they coach him during the Olympics? That seems like a very simple answer to me because they only got to coach him for what, a month or so? They don't have to deal with him day out, day in, day out for years, right? At the end of the day, you can try to defend LeBron all you want. I know you're a LeBron fan. I see a lot of your comments and all that. And that's cool. You could be a fan of who you want to be, but the empirical evidence is in front of you. If you look, 10 coaches in 22 years, a new coach every 2.2 years. And let me tell you what makes it worse. He had Mike Brown for 5 years, I believe, and he had Spo for 4 years. So that means he was getting his other coaches fired a lot faster than that. And Pam Brown, let's not forget that he also tried to get Coach Spo fired. We know this for a fact because Pat Riley wrote it in his book. We know that for a fact. That's not me making that up. That's not some fly-by-night website. It's in Pat Riley's book. He wrote that. Why would he make that up if it's not true? At the end of the day, whether you like him or not, the dude is not coachable. Of course, Pop and Steve Kerr and them are going to speak nicely of him. I mean, everyone seems to, right? And we'll talk more about people and how they speak about LeBron in the next segment. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. The empirical evidence cannot be denied. Not one coach has said he's uncoachable. And they're not going to say that now. He's still playing, right? And that's fine. Again, you can say not one coach has said he's uncoachable. But again, if you watch the pattern of this guy's career over the last 22 years, it is what it is. The media said the whole team wanted Riley to coach the team. Well, Pat Riley wrote in his book that I think it was LeBron, and I think D Wade went with him because LeBron in that first year wasn't doing anything without D Wade, but he went and tried to get Pat Riley to come out of retirement, i.e., fire Spo. And the funny thing about that is, D Wade said himself that he tried to tell LeBron, "You don't want the Godfather to come down here." So I don't think though if that's the case because D Wade said it himself, the whole team couldn't have wanted Pat Riley to coach the team. But it is what it is. I think at the end of the day, like I said, man, we just have too many years of watching LeBron do this stuff to still try to defend him in terms of the coaching thing. But you know, if you're a fan, you're a fan. I get it. Fan is short for fanatic. It's okay. So what I'm gonna do at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the call line. So let's talk a little more. If you're a LeBron fan and you're a LeBron defender, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you specifically, and we talk a little more about this because it's going to be interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on if the whole Mind the Game podcast was specifically designed to be an audition for JJ Redick to get the job. I would love to hear more detailed thoughts about why LeBron is not a coach killer, etc. That kills your point. He wanted Pat Riley to coach, and if you know anything about Pat, he definitely wanted to be coached. So I think that sometimes we want what we want without realizing the grass is not greener on the other side. We know that expression. So I think the point was more so that he didn't want to be coached by Spoelstra because I was about to say I guarantee you, but I'm not going to go that far. But I'm pretty sure based on what we have seen from LeBron, had Pat Riley come down there and coach him, LeBron would not have liked that at all. And he might not have lasted the 4 years that he did. But again, it is what it is. But yeah, anybody has any comment? especially
I think one player shouldn't be the deciding factor if a coach is fired or not. I think it should be a collective and or hired as well, right?
Okay. Hey,
And
we
so
got a call, G. Hold on. Let's take this and then we'll. All right. Hello, you calling the Format Podcast? What you got? Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Oh, got you connected. Let me make sure that we can hear you on the call. Hang on 1 second. Sorry. And should have you in a second. I'm sorry about that. My mixer wants to act up right now. Oh, here we go. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. You calling the Format Podcast. Who's this?
This is Nino.
Nino, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
What's going on, man?
All right. What you got?
All right. Now, as a Bruins fan, I say it's always too. It's some good. I ain't gonna say he's perfect, man. Some people did say he go wrong. I don't believe that. But I would say the Mike Brown situation, where he coaching Mike Brown, he never had a problem. He didn't get Mike Brown fired. He considered as an okay coach.
Okay, I'm gonna respond to that in a minute. Go ahead.
Tyloo, well, we all know Brown had to leave Cleveland, but we can't even speak on that. But we know he had to leave Cleveland. Tyloo is considered as a good coach now. Brown left Cleveland. Tyloo still had a job. He got fired. Got another opportunity to come to the Lakers. The Lakers don't want to pay no coach. So that ain't Brown's fault. Now, I feel like Frank Vogel is the one people should focus on. Frank Vogel got a bad rap. I think he got a bad roster. After they won the championship, Frank Vogel was doing good coaching. What happened to that roster? Why did they break that roster so bad? And give him Westbrook. Anybody that knows something about basketball, Bron not the best shooter. Whether he's your favorite player or not. You put him, Westbrook, terrible shooter.
So remember, he wanted Westbrook there, though. That's not. They didn't bring Westbrook.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
That's why I say he ain't perfect. But that's when he wanted Kyrie, too. And you said, no. You should have said, no, Westbrook. I said, nah, Bron, nah, we ain't doing it. They wanted Tyloo, didn't want to pay. So I feel Frank Vogel got a bad rap out of anybody. Darvin Ham wasn't doing no coaching on the side. I don't feel like he was doing no in-game coaching. You watch? I can tell you watch a lot of basketball. You see Malone and the Timberwolves coach. They coaching all games, whether they up 20, they down, and they do decent subs. Darvin Ham was subbing off a minute. Just because your 5 minutes was up, your minutes, like you know how they do in the season, he was taking people out based on that. You can't do that in the playoffs.
So
sometimes even Bron them. My bad.
No, my fault. I didn't mean to cut you. But what I would say is, the Darvin Ham thing. Believe me, I'm not saying that Darvin Ham was perfect, but I am saying he didn't deserve to get fired. This is a guy who. So Frank Vogel wins the championship. The following year, the Lakers win 33 games. Right. So okay, they say, hey, something happened there. He got to go, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, okay, he wins the championship, and all of a sudden he forgets how to coach. But okay, whatever. So they get rid of him at that point. Then they go ahead and they hire Darvin Ham, which we know they would not have done without LeBron James' say so. That's not going to happen. This is the NBA, not the NFL. You don't hire somebody without the buy-in of your superstar player, right? So LeBron James had to get a say so for them to hire Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham comes in his first season. He takes them, or he coaches them to the Western Conference Finals. Okay, cool. Then in his second season, he coaches them to the first ever in-season tournament championship, which, you know, however you feel about that is however you feel about that. But he coaches them to the first. Way you feel about it. Right. He coaches them to the first in-season tournament championship, which regardless, he still had to do some coaching to get them there, right? So now, and then he coaches them to the playoffs. He gets them through the play-in. Okay, cool. And then they just run into a bad matchup. They lose to Denver. And the fact is this, it's the same thing with Frank Vogel. All of a sudden, he just forgot how to coach. I mean, one of the biggest things I point to, and I mentioned this earlier when G and I were talking, is you look at LeBron James literally ignoring Darvin Ham whether Darvin Ham knows how to coach or not. He's ignoring him and walking away while Darvin Ham is still drawing up the play in the huddle. Now, have we heard stories about guys like Larry Bird and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan all saying, hey, after the huddle and they get back on the floor, don't worry about that. We're not doing that. Just get me to rock. We know that. That happens. But they didn't blatantly disrespect their head coach in the huddle. Am I right, G?
You right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so
that's why I said I ain't say he's perfect. Man, I don't believe in that. My only thing was with the Darvin Ham is, like I said, in-game coaching, and I think that the general manager, because Braun had one of his best shooting seasons as an old guy, but the way he had Austin Reed on the bench, they say Austin Reed didn't like it. You hear what AD come out and say. And he had Rui on the bench for most of the season after Rui had the season he had last year. Trying to play the other guy. I forgot his name.
So I hear what you're saying on that, but I think a big part of that is players on teams, especially lower level players, often follow the best player on the team. And so if they see like LeBron is not respectful of the coach, LeBron is not following the coach, etc., I'm not saying they're all going to mindlessly do what he does, but they're going to tend to follow his lead because they can. And I think, and I could be wrong, they may have felt how they felt, but I think that his behavior and, however he was towards Darvin Ham probably played a big part in how Darvin Ham was received by the other members of his team. That's how I see it.
Could be now. I can't say. I'm not saying for certain. Just like I respect your opinion because you saying we don't really know.
Right.
It could be very well that, but I feel the GM got a break because, like you said, everybody that really knows a little bit about basketball, play some type of basketball, should have known that they supposed to have, after you played Denver last year, you know you're supposed to have at least two big men ready. They might not play all season, but when you play against Denver, you're going to need two big men. All Denver did was wear the Lakers down to the fourth quarter, like a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
AD did get you in the first half, but you can't expect nobody, one man, to hold Jokic.
Well, I tell you what,
game.
AD did everything that he could do. AD had a great series against Denver, but I think a big part of that, and we're digressing a little bit, but that's cool. I think a big part of it was Denver with their championship medal and having swept them and having won like 11 out of 12 against them knows that pretty much whatever the Lakers do, we got their number and we're going to find a way to come back and beat them. I think there's something to just kind of knowing that you have a team's number. And I think that was a big part of it, less so than Darvin Ham not making adjustments or what have you. Because again, I keep getting back to it. Darvin Ham didn't just forget how to coach. And, people could say I'm a LeBron hater or whatever, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, there's this thing, and I always mention it, it's called the common denominator. And if LeBron, much like Kevin Durant, is in the middle of coaches getting fired constantly, at what point are we going to start looking at him and say he got something to do with it? And it's not just the coaches. All these coaches can't not know how to coach. You know what I'm saying?
Now, see, that's what. Now, I agree on. If people watch the game, I don't think it was. I still think Darvin Ham did some crazy coach sometimes, but I don't think it was coaching so much as personnel. One or two big men. I feel if they had one or two big men extra, it could have been a different team. Because Garden, people forget Garden is just athletic as fun. And he's at the age they at now, he's just as athletic dunk contest. Jokic, I never seen nothing like Jokic. He remind me of Dirk Nowitzki with probably a little Hakeem or something. You've been watching longer than me. Have you ever seen anything like Jokic? That big?
My brother. Let me say this.
Larry Bird. Larry the legend.
Let me say this. Please don't ever put Jokic and Hakeem in the same sentence again, man. Don't do that. That's terrible, man. Jokic only play one way, so we can't do that.
No, he don't play no D now.
No D. And it's a totally different era. So Hakeem was the best center in the best big man era of all time. So we can't really think about it. The only other dominant center in the game that we have, and he eats Jokic's lunch when he plays against him, and that's Embiid. So we can't really like Jokic is special, no doubt, but like competition has to matter. So yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying, okay, hey, think about what you just said. Jokic get away with not playing no defense
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes when they take him out, they get somebody to wear AD down. They move guard and let him hold him sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and they wear him down. Fourth quarter, Jokic, they ain't gone near fresh because he ain't even went to work yet. AD got to go from start to finish.
That's
If
true.
they had one or two big men to get in there, fire like when they won with Dwight and
Dwight and
JaVale,
was JaVale McGee on that team? Yep. Yeah.
you ain't gonna stop them, but you can rough them up.
That's right.
That's how teams used to play. That's how they play. Everybody played Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
They played Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
They played Bron.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna put their best player on them all game.
No.
Sometimes they gonna put
You
somebody
throw bodies
in
at them. You throw bodies at them. Yup.
So I feel like the GM got a little skate. He should have had to answer some questions. Because I feel like Darvin Ham didn't do the worst job ever.
Right. Hold on a second, Nino. G, you had something, man?
No, I just wanted to say, I guess we look at how many year one head coaches has LeBron had, right? And that says a lot about his influence. And from a positive standpoint, right, you're getting a lot of coaches that may not have the opportunity to actually play in the league. And so that pool of coaches are increasing as long as he play, right? They play 1 year, they get fired, and then they move on. So from that aspect, I think it's good. I don't know, why. It just could be like, hey, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to go, and it don't work out. You don't know the relationship that he has with these coaches outside. It may only just be 1 year. But as far as like Denver is concerned, Denver owns the Lakers, and they'll have to rebuild to beat them.
So let me ask you this, right? And Nino, this for you too, right? We're talking about LeBron and coaching. Let's say, well, we know for a fact that during LeBron's time in the league, Tom Thibodeau has been available a couple times. How do you think he would react to a Tom Thibodeau telling him, hey, you got to play defense, you got to hit the glass, you know what I'm saying, you got to go hard all the time? He'll have him out there on the first thing smoking, am I right?
Or he'll leave.
I can't disagree with that.
Right. So I mean,
but
yeah,
what I'm saying, he won't. I'm a LeBron fan, but I'm honest. At this age,
I appreciate that.
Not finna play no defense all game. If he play Bron like that, Bron can't play like them boys on the Knicks now. He can't play. He ain't. I think he'll break down. So I think I agree with what he do. But sometimes that's why I said sometimes now on the hustle play when we need Bron to hustle, he don't hustle back then go to point now. So I'm saying he do that. He do that now. He ain't gonna play defense. But what I seen Bron play one-on-one defense in these playoffs when his man got the ball, I said he still can play defense. Now the defense you talking about, I'm with you. I don't think he gonna be able to do that now. I don't think he gonna be able to do it.
All right, Nino. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you calling, man. Thank you for watching the show. Stay with us, man. Make sure you share the show and make sure you like, subscribe if you haven't already. And we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. Thanks again.
Appreciate it.
No doubt. Oh, okay, so we're gonna move on to the next topic here, and go look at that. It's LeBron again, and so I have it here. Is LeBron losing control? And why am I asking that question? Why did I name this topic, this segment? Is LeBron losing control? So we were just talking about LeBron with our caller Nino, and we were talking about him previously and his influence in the Lakers head coaching search, so on and so forth. But one of the things, if you are a regular watcher of my show and my content, or you know me, or in general, you've just been an NBA fan for the last 22 years, you have known that LeBron James is a guy that has had tremendous control throughout pretty much his entire career, whether it's control of the media and the way he is perceived, control of his team situations and all that. You good, G?
I'm good.
I bet. So LeBron is a guy who's had a tremendous amount of control. And now, lately, now that he is moving towards the end of his career, we're seeing a situation where he seems to have less control, and he is being, I'll say this, people in the media are being much more honest about things that we have seen pertaining to him, even to the point of some of his biggest cheerleaders are openly chastising him. Have you seen that to be the case, G?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a change at the guard when it comes to LeBron and his era. I think the league is pushing for a younger, faster, quicker uh, league, and so the powers that be, being the media, is starting to change on them. And we've seen that with Mike at the end of his career, where they started to throw all the younger guys at him, and then amplify his faults. And so it's just common, right? Change the guard. The torch has to be passed, even if you don't want to let it go, right? They're going to take it from you. And so all of the pro LeBron fans, they're starting to just kind of like expose him. Don't get me wrong. He's an amazing player with amazing accolades.
Yes.
One of a kind, one of a generation talent.
Yes.
But there's something in the media right now that's saying we need to phase him out, and I think it started when he didn't take ownership of the Lakers not doing well, and he, saying it was the coach when he wasn't listening to the coach, or they didn't believe the coach had what it took, or understood, or could make those decisions to kind of move personnel around so that they could win or be in a position to win. So that's no secret, right? The league's been doing that forever. That's just the way of amplifying other players.
So to some extent, I agree with you, right? But even in the past, when we've seen guys like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, if stuff was going on with those guys, the media didn't act as if they walked on water and they were infallible. And we saw for so many years the media act as if LeBron is infallible. I mean, honestly, we still see most of his fans act as if he's infallible. And again, fan is short for fanatic, so I understand that. But I mean, even when the evidence is right before you, not you being you, but you in general as a LeBron fan, the evidence would be right in front of you, but you still they refuse to see it, and they act as if, well, no, you're making that up. You being me, you're making that up, Bruce. You an old head hater. You hate on Bron, this, that, the other. Whoa, you wake up every morning looking for a reason to hate on another black man. Whoa, okay, because I'm telling the truth and I'm not buying into your narrative. But now we're seeing people in the media, as I mentioned, major media voices, again, including some of his biggest cheerleaders, and they're now chastising this guy. And my question is, why is it happening now? And to your point, it could be just that changing of the guard and phasing him out and bringing in some of the new guys. But it's amazing to hear. And to that point, this is a longer clip, but I actually put together some clips of people that we have heard throughout the media who are going to be honest with LeBron in terms of things that I've been saying for years, and I know others have been saying for years, but for whatever reason, it couldn't be heard until now. So let's hear some people in the media and their commentary on LeBron, very recent commentary. And it's funny because it all seems to be happening like right now. Check it out.
My recommendation, the next Laker coach, and out of the 8 or 9 names that I've heard, his name wasn't on there, is make LeBron the coach. I got nothing but love and respect for LeBron. I love him. I think he's one of the greatest players that ever played this game. But it's obvious to me, at least, that he's making a lot of decisions that's going on in this organization.
No doubt.
From a coaching standpoint to a player standpoint. So if you're going to allow him to make those decisions, sit on the bench and make those decisions as well. Be the head coach. JJ Redick.
You mean player coach, right?
Player, head coach.
Yeah. Well, it's happened before.
Go back to the Bill Russell days.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Lenny Wilkins.
Yeah.
We've got certain guys, veteran status in our game, that are on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore that like to deflect and point fingers at others. Here's a 22-year-old saying, this is on me. It's my fault.
LeBron's problem is the accountability, because he's saying cryptic and subliminal tweets. They're not even subliminal. You know exactly what he's saying because we've heard it for the better part of 20 years. So we know exactly what he means. We know exactly what he's saying. But the fact of the matter is that if he could have had Ty Lue, or he could have had an Eric Spoelstra, do I believe LeBron James would have had more titles? Yes. But he has what he has. It is what it is. I don't think all those coaches hurt his argument. The only thing that hurts LeBron James is that they don't think we know that he's a large part of the reason why these coaches are no longer coach him. That's the problem that I have first and foremost.
Shannon, you said if he could have Eric Spoelstra, he would have more rings. Damn it, he had Eric Spoelstra. He chose to leave Miami.
And left.
He didn't want to play for Eric Spoelstra no more in that franchise because they wouldn't do it the LeBron James way because Pat Riley stood behind Eric Spoelstra. Okay, so when I think about the comments when you said, about Jordan and his expectations, you know why the expectations are different for LeBron James? Because LeBron James put these expectations. LeBron James put these expectations on himself. Because LeBron James is always calling himself on several occasions the GOAT. LeBron James is always speaking out about it. We don't hear Jordan calling himself the GOAT. Here's another thing. LeBron James, this is another thing, man, that I feel like is gonna hurt LeBron. We already know what type of basketball mind LeBron is. I think he's one of the most brilliant basketball minds that ever touched the damn basketball. But when you start making it a case where you're the smartest person in the room all the time, that's a problem. And that's hard for any coach to step into that seat and come in and try to hold you accountable.
We're not going to let LeBron James and his camp get away with that. We're not blaming him for the firing. What we're saying is you can't be as great as you proclaim to be, as we know you are, in today's NBA game, and be completely innocent and oblivious and distant, having nothing to do with the firing of yet another coach. That is impossible. That's all we're saying. But having said all of that, while acknowledging that that's a reality that he has to live with, there's a bigger narrative to touch on. And that is the fact that LeBron James has brought these debates on himself, Shannon, because of this insatiable appetite he has to control narratives. It's what he does. Nobody, I repeat, nobody, no star in the history of sports has gone about the business of methodically, systematically, continuously trying to control the narrative.
Okay, so all right. So you heard that. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six guys in the media who had a lot to say. So I'm gonna go down there, right? I'm gonna go down the list. First, Byron Scott. This is a 3-time champion with the Showtime Lakers. This is a guy who coached the New Jersey Nets. The New Jersey Nets to back-to-back NBA Finals appearances. He might have a championship as a coach if he didn't run into the Kobe Shaq Lakers or the Tim Duncan Spurs, right? Those were two tough situations, right? But regardless, he knows what he's doing as a coach. He coached the Nets to back-to-back championship berths, right? Okay, then you hear Reggie Miller and his comments. Now, let me address this, right? So Pam Brown, while that clip was playing, says Reggie says he wasn't talking about Bron. And I was going to get to that. So it's so interesting that you mentioned that, Pam. So let's use our brains a little bit here, okay? Reggie Miller was on Dan Patrick, and Dan Patrick played that clip. That's where I got that from. And Reggie Miller did a lot of moonwalking there because he said he wasn't talking about Bron. But if you listen to the clip, Reggie Miller says we have current players, Mount Rushmore guys who don't take accountability. So that could be one of 3 guys. There's only 3 Mount Rushmore guys currently playing, right? And realistically, maybe 2, but it's going to be, if you're going to say it's going to be Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and LeBron James, right? Am I right, G? Those are the only 3 guys currently playing that could be considered Mount Rushmore. Am I missing anybody?
I don't have Durant on my Mount Rushmore.
Well, there you go. So even if that's the case, realistically, LeBron is the only guy he could have been talking about. But the fact is, like a lot of guys, they don't want to call out LeBron for whatever reason, out of fear or, whatever it may be. They don't want to call out LeBron, but that is what that is. So first we heard Byron Scott calling out LeBron. Then we heard Reggie Miller. He just didn't want to admit to calling out LeBron because if we use common sense, it couldn't have been anyone else. Then we hear Shannon Sharpe, one of the biggest LeBron pom-pom wavers, admitting that we've been watching LeBron do these things for the better part of 20 years. We just heard him say that. I know he's not going to like that, and he hates that he had to come out and do it, but he admitted it. So that's another one. And then we hear Shannon Sharp with the same lame argument about, if he had a Ty Lue, if he had an Eric Spoelstra. Excuse me, he had a Ty Lue. He had an Eric Spoelstra, right? He had both of those guys. Again, he tried to get Spo fired. We know that because Pat Riley said it. And then he left Ty Lue with Cleveland. So we know that's the case as well, right? There's Nino. Reggie Miller was definitely talking about Bron. Like, I don't know how anybody could argue that. Reggie said he wasn't, but he just said that. We know he was talking about Bron because Bron's the only person who fits that description. Thank you, Nino. Yeah, so then like I said, we had Shannon with the same lame coaching argument. We know that doesn't hold water. We already punched a bunch of holes in that. Then we see Kendrick Perkins, the next big pom-pom waiver for LeBron. He appears to be sick of it by now. He shut down Shannon Sharp's argument in terms of the coaching argument. He shut it down and said he had Spoelstra, and he left. He didn't want to be there. First, he tried to get him fired, then he left, right? So we know that's a non-issue. Then we hear Stephen A. Smith saying what I've been saying for years about how LeBron is always trying to control the narrative. He's always trying to control how he's perceived. Like, anyone who really pays any level of attention to this and puts the pom-poms down for a minute can see that this is what LeBron does. Now, let me be clear. This has been brilliant business. This has been brilliant marketing. This has been brilliant on LeBron's part for all these years because it has played a role in him getting to where he is. Him being the champion that he is, right? Because he figured out a way to grease the skids. So he became a 4-time champion, 10-time finals participant. It also has helped him in terms of him being able to control the teams he's been on. It's helped him in terms of his off the court and being able to amass wealth, etc., become a billionaire, and he'll probably become an NBA franchise owner in short order after he's retired. So all these things have worked extremely well in LeBron's favor. I'm not hating on any of that, but I'm sitting back and I'm amazed that all of a sudden people are coming out here and they're so willing to tell the truth about this guy. You know, I appreciate you, man. Down, appreciate you. Hit that like. If you're in here, hit the like for me. Appreciate that. But yeah, these people are so willing to tell the truth now, and I can't figure out, other than G's commentary, that at this point it's a function of realizing that you have to move on and you have to build up the next generation of stars. Gee, tell me, man, am I going overboard with all this? You heard the clip with all these people in the sports media saying what we've been saying for years about LeBron. What am I missing? Am I going overboard? Am I just hating? Tell me, where are you with that?
No, I looked at the how he targeted Darvin Ham, and then I see clips of him coaching his kid at the EYBL league, and it could be like they said in the beginning, like allow LeBron to coach the team, and bring in your assistant coach in JJ Reed or JJ Redick or whoever you decide. It could just be he likes to control the narrative here, and that's LeBron, man. He's like the biggest bucket we've seen in our, we'll probably see in a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets to do whatever LeBron wants to do. And if he want to coach, if he want his sons, if he want to coach his sons, if he want to be a GM, you may start seeing the narrative of him moving into ownership. He's one of the big names that should be allowed to do it. And so I think, LeBron is he's a coach killer sometimes. So.
Well, so you sounded like Reggie, man. Like you ain't want to come out and say it, bro.
No. I try to look at things from all angles, right?
I try to as well.
Yeah, give him the benefit of the doubt. He has a career, but there's some more exciting players. I seen him do an up and under, and it looked like he was in the league for 21 years. So it's time to turn the page on LeBron and or allow him to coach, play a few minutes. He might get one of those Phil Jackson contracts where he only play home games, something like
coach
that.
Well, what I got to say about that is I don't know if Byron
that.
Scott knew this, is that with the CBA and everything the way it's written up, there's no more, because of the salary cap, you can't be player coach anymore. So that can't happen just by the rules. And then secondly, let's be real here. LeBron is never ever going to be a coach. You know why? Because he would have to sit up there and accept responsibility when things don't go right. Just like he would never actually be a GM because he would have to sit up there and accept responsibility when things don't go right. And he cannot be accountable. He simply cannot. We've seen this, right? All he does is he always figures out someone else to be the scapegoat. And so he can't be either one of those positions full time. And then the other thing, I thought about this. We know he's eventually going to be an owner. And personally, I can't wait for him to be an owner, but not for the reasons that a lot of other people think. A lot of people think, hey, it's going to be great to see another black man be an owner of a major sports franchise in this country, which is awesome, great. Coming from those humble beginnings and forging yourself into becoming a billionaire and being able, they always say that owning a professional sports franchise in America is the closest thing you can get to being like royalty in like England or something, right? So cool, you did that. Respect due. But the reason I can't wait to see LeBron become an owner is because he's all about player empowerment, right? But he's also all about control. So what happens when he's an owner and he gets a player that wants to be empowered? Then what happens? That's what I want to sit back and see. I want to see, what if he got a player like him? Obviously, there are very few players like him, but you know what I'm saying? In terms of mindset, a player that's really, really good. And in the NBA, if you're really, really good or great, that means you have a lot of control over the franchise. Then what happens? Is he going to be able to deal with that? And then is he going to expose himself for being a hypocrite for all those years? Because we know he's a control freak. So as an owner, do we suddenly think that's magically going to go away? No. This is what I believe. I could be wrong, and I can't wait to be proven wrong or proven right. When LeBron becomes an owner, guess who he's going to be? Guess who he's going to be? He's going to be the Jerry Jones of the NBA. That's what LeBron James is going to be. Always in front of the cameras, always in front of the microphone. Me, 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 me. Look at me. Attention, attention, attention. Do you think that when he's done playing, just because he owns a franchise, that he's going to be able to put all that to the side and not seek and crave that attention? Of course not. He's going to be Jerry Jones in the NBA. Remember, I said it.
Yeah. I think you look at the relationship between the owner and the price of tickets to have LeBron on your roster, and that type of leverage gives you say on who's the coach and or
I agree.
what players play with you. And so I think that's been his leverage over the years. And you'd be a fool like not to
exercise
appease. Yeah, not to appease his wishes. So
well, you can only appease it to a point, because like appeasing his wishes, what does that really get you? You might win a chip with him, okay, but then when he's gone, then what? Unless you have an incredible front office a la the Miami Heat, it might take you some time to turn that thing around. Because think about this, right? LeBron fans often use this when they're taking shots at Jordan. They say when Michael Jordan first retired to go play baseball, they won 57 games the year before he retired. And the following year, when he wasn't there, they won 55. So that apparently in their mind says Michael Jordan wasn't that important. Okay. Then they say, when LeBron left Cleveland, they went from, I want to say 61 or 66 wins to like 19 or 20. And so that says, oh, LeBron was more important. Is that what that really says? Let's use our heads here. When Michael Jordan left to play baseball, the entire rest of the roster was in place. The head coach was still there. The system was still there. Those guys knew how to play within that system. And they had an all-time great as the second fiddle stepping up into the first fiddle, right? Cool. That's what explains the fact that there was not a significant drop-off. Now, you flip it and you say, okay, when LeBron left, the franchise fell into the toilet. Of course, LeBron left when the franchise fell into the toilet, right? There's a reason for that, because LeBron destroys rosters. He's always flipping rosters, so there's never any real opportunity to get continuity. LeBron in his prime had the ball in his hand all the time, so most of those guys didn't know how to play other than hanging out, waiting for a pass from LeBron, and then figuring out what to do when they got it, right? So there wasn't any real system in place. LeBron was just the system. And of course, we know that when LeBron left Cleveland, Cleveland fired Mike Brown in attempts to appease him, keep him happy, and keep him there, right? They fired Mike Brown, and so they had a brand new head coach. So it's such a ridiculous analogy that doesn't even make sense to say, oh well, when Michael Jordan left, the Bulls still only went down 2 games, and when LeBron left, they went down 40 games or whatever the number is. Like, I don't. Let's use our heads here, people. Let's use our heads. But that shows a lot of people really don't think basketball. A lot of people just are LeBron James fans and not basketball fans, and they don't think further in depth. All right, looks like G fell out, but I know he'll be back. All right, so carrying on with this topic, here's something else that's interesting, right? So here's the other thing. Getting into that along with the media and LeBron is Bronny, right? LeBron James Jr., who we know was an All-American in high school, and even that's kind of iffy. We've heard people in the basketball media say, well, maybe he shouldn't have been the All-American in high school. And it's interesting because on no team he's been on has he been the best player. He wasn't the best player in high school. He wasn't the best player in college, and now he's declared for the NBA. Why? LeBron James has made it clear for years now that he wanted to play with his son in the NBA, and that's beautiful. Very few people are able to play long enough to even contemplate that. Furthermore, play at a high enough level to make something like that happen. So respect due. That's probably an amazing thing. But if we also heard Bronny's comments recently at the Combine, he said he just wants to put in the work and play in the NBA and not necessarily play with his dad. Like, that's more LeBron's dream than his. And I thought that was very telling. And I'm a guy who has said from the beginning that this Bronny thing, it's not about Bronny at all. It's about LeBron. Again, me. Look at me, look at me. And I've said this. If LeBron were to get to play with Bronny, his son, in the NBA, what would it be? It would be, look at LeBron James. He's like a big kid. He's out there playing with his son. Look at the smile on LeBron's face. Look at him. He's coaching up his son. He's the first guy to play with his son. LeBron, right? It wouldn't be about Bronny. It's all about LeBron, like everything else. And so now we hear Bronny saying, well, I just want to put in the work and I want to play in the league, and it's not so much about playing with my dad. So now we know this whole thing is about LeBron and not about Bronny. And I think that's interesting. And then we heard some more comments from Kendrick Perkins discussing that. So check this out, and then we'll come back and talk about it a little more.
Thing about LeBron James being at the Cavs game. I'm glad he was there and not at the Combine.
Right.
Because now Bronny has to show up and show out, meaning earn, not given, right? LeBron, stay your ass away. We don't need you on the internet saying, oh, look at Bronny. They said he couldn't shoot. He's shooting. Oh, he got a 40-inch vertical. No more hyping it up.
Now, again, this is Kendrick Perkins, one of the biggest LeBron James cheerleaders ever in the sports media. And again, he's telling LeBron, yo, chill, tone it down. And this is interesting, again, for a number of reasons, but one of them being that, remember, a couple years ago, LeBron was sitting there tweeting, and this is a very loose quote, basically saying that Bronny is better than a lot of the dudes in the NBA right now. And then he also said after a game with the Lakers that Bronny could help this team right now. So LeBron is the one that's been greasing the skids for his son and pushing all this, and he's making the whole Bronny thing tougher on Bronny than it needs to be. So this is just amazing to me. So G, you have sons, I have a son. We all want what's best for our sons, our children, period. But you know, as men, if we're in that position, obviously, like I mentioned before, we would all love to be able to be in that position where we could be around long enough if we're in the NBA to play with our sons, right? But we see all this other stuff going on, man. What's your thoughts about LeBron and all this Bronny stuff?
I think Bronny's gonna get in the league. I don't.
LeBron
I
won't let
really,
him not get in the league.
yeah, I really don't know. Like, I looked at Kevin Garnett. I think he just had a piece where he was talking about the gene factor, right? Like the work ethic. I remember when, and I'm dating myself here, but I remember when LeBron had his son, right? One thing about a hooper, right? Like the resources that he invested in his son. So, you know, you think 18 years, this kid was born on a basketball court. So he's been playing basketball. He's been around all the great players and or, you know, camps that you can go to develop yourself as a player.
Right.
And so there's no denying the fact that, you know, at what, 18, 19, I think he's 19 now or close to 19.
19, I think, yeah.
Yeah. There's no denying the fact that he's going to be a superstar. just off of default, and
He's
the
not going to be a
competitive.
superstar, man.
He's definitely going to be a superstar.
I think it's going to take him a long way to become I don't see that. Based on what we've seen so far, I don't see it.
Oh yeah. And again, that could have been the coach at USC. That could have been his coach thing. And even in I don't know. It's hard to say, right? But just based off of the work ethic this kid has and shows, I think he will be a star. He's definitely going to be a star. Now, does star mean score as many points as your father? Maybe not. Maybe he's just a true point guard, right? That's not hard to be. Yeah, that's not hard to be.
Okay.
Good.
No, I was going to respond to Nino here. So he says we can't tell a man not to hype up his son.
Facts.
Yes and no. So let's do this, right? Did we hear Tim Hardaway Sr. talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. like this?
I don't think he had that window to do that. I don't think he had the media presence or influence.
Oh, did we hear Patrick Ewing talk about Patrick Ewing Jr. like that? We didn't hear Dominique Wilkins talk about his nephew like that. We didn't hear Del Curry talk about Steph Curry like that. There's a lot of, the more you look at it, especially now since we're getting older, there's a lot of guys whose sons are in the league, Kmart, etc. There's a lot of guys whose sons play ball, and we don't hear any of them talking like this. Now, to your point, none of those guys got the gravitas or none of those guys are in position to talk like LeBron talks. So to an extent, I get that point. But the other point is there's a lot of guys who are all-time greats who have sons, right? The most we heard about Michael Jordan, who most regard as the GOAT, we heard him try to get his son onto the team at North Carolina, and Roy Williams was like, Mike, I'm sorry, he's not good enough. And Mike had to just take that,
I mean, is he taking a page out of LeVar Ball's playbook and just pushing this kid up? I mean, that's pretty much how a lot of the Ball brothers got in the league. It was pretty good, but I didn't think
I was about to say the Ball brothers were better than Bronny. So, there's that. Because remember, Lonzo Ball was the number 1 point guard in the country. Yeah.
Triple-double at UCLA.
Right. He was the number 1 point guard in the country. And then LaMelo Ball, was he
went
number 1 or number 2 pick?
He went overseas and played.
Right.
Yeah.
So
came from overseas.
Right. So I think there's a little bit of difference to it. And at the end of the day, all LeVar Ball could have really done was talk up his kids, right? Put them through the paces as they were growing up, then talk them up. He didn't have the power to actually manipulate the situation, and that's what I don't like about it. And think about it. Look at all the pressure that put on Lonzo Ball. Remember Lonzo Ball's first game when Pat Bev was like 94 feet D'ing him up and really giving him a hard time? Like, does LeBron think that guys are not going to go super hard, no diddy at Bronny when Bronny gets into the league? Does he really think that's not going to happen? Why? They can't do that to his pops, but they're going to take it out on him. Well, your name LeBron James too. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to go in attack mode on this dude. Now, Bronny has to know all that's coming, but I think LeBron has kind of unfairly put a bullseye on his son's back.
Yeah, I mean, they was coming at him in college, right? We saw that. And then you have these second-generation players. You talked about Dominique Wilkins. Is it his son or is his nephew?
It's his nephew. It's Gerald Wilkins' son.
Yeah, and then you have Melo's son actually playing at Syracuse. So there's a whole slew of new talent coming out, and he's going to have to go through them. So I don't know how strong this draft class is this year. I haven't had time to really look at it. The boys, men's basketball was it was kind of subpar. I watched more of the girls. It was more
me too.
More appealing, but it's just I guess this is the time to do it. I don't know, man. I wish him the best. And it'd be good to see him.
To me, it's not about Bronny though. That's all I'm saying, G.
Yeah, nobody
wants Bronny to fail.
Yeah, I think Bronny wants to play against his father, right? I think he's
I can see that.
The whole dad son thing. Your dad say go right, you go left. That type
Young
of
lion,
thing.
old lion.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So he definitely want to go through the fire. I just don't know if we gonna see him in the league, man. It doesn't matter what we say. He's already in.
Yeah. So I've had this comment up here for a while. I wanted to respond to it. So Terrence Fields, what's up, Terrence Fields? If you haven't already, man, hit that like for me, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. They're trying to run this legendary player who's the face out of the league, and that's a shame. These same people never done this to Tom Brady, who was caught cheating twice on MJ and DC. So let me touch on MJ first. I'm gonna kind of leave Tom Brady out of it, different sport, but let's do MJ and DC. So here's one of the biggest things. Again, you never heard MJ talking about he's the GOAT or any of that. And secondly, people always talk about Michael Jordan in DC. So before Michael Jordan got injured, before his knee really took him out of the game in DC when he was with the Wizards at the end of his career, I think he was averaging 25 points per game, and he had the Wizards in the number 4 seed in the East. Okay, so people always take that shot, but then they leave out the context. And on top of that, let's go ahead and tell me the top 75 player or the top 50 player that Michael Jordan had with him in Washington. I'll wait. Yeah, still waiting. Yeah, you can't. You're not going to be able to, because he didn't have that. He didn't go to Washington and say, okay, I need this, I need that, or get me this person, get me that, trade away this whole team and get me, said top 75, top 50 player. He didn't do that. So we always got to take into account, again, what LeBron does to manipulate rosters. So we always have to take that into account. Secondly, it's not about running that legendary player out of the league. It's, as a league, positioning yourself with the up and coming guys, so you don't find yourself in a spot that when LeBron is done, you have this mega drop off like you had in terms of popularity of the league, like you had when Michael Jordan stepped away. That's what it's about. It's not running LeBron out. It's about uplifting the other guys. Okay. Nino Jackson, my man, we just break down everything Bron say. We don't follow them other guys, because those other guys aren't out here talking and screaming, look at me, like LeBron is. Like, that's what LeBron fans don't understand. LeBron, like Stephen A said and everybody else says, LeBron is the one who invites all of this attention on himself. You cannot ask for the attention and then don't like when you get it. It's that simple. It's that simple. MJ had haters too. It just wasn't social media. Yes, MJ had haters, but the reason MJ had haters is because he was just beating everybody, right? He kept a lot of all-time great dudes from winning chips. That's the reason MJ had haters, not because he was circumventing competition or, as I like to say, greasing the skids to try and do everything the easy way. Not because of that. Think about it. You don't think that if MJ wanted his son in the league, he couldn't have pulled this off the way LeBron did? He could have, but he didn't, because he was a little more self-aware. But yeah, that's that. All right. So at this point, I got a few people in the chat. I will go ahead and I'll open up the phone lines if anybody wants to call and give me your thoughts on, is LeBron losing control that he's had for so long? Why are members of the media suddenly going at this guy like they are now? Is it fair what he's done to Bronny? And again, I would love to hear from LeBron James fans specifically. So if anybody wants to call in, go ahead and do that. And if not, then we'll go ahead and move on to the last topic. So I'll give you a minute here. Go ahead. The number is on the bottom of your screen, 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. No calls on this one? I was surprised, man. It's so funny, G. Before we move on to the next topic, right? Obviously, I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm not a LeBron guy. I try to be really objective when it comes to this dude. I get called a hater a lot, whatever. I don't really care. But the fact is this. I always put it out there for the people that disagree with me. If you notice, I always say I want LeBron fans to call in. I want them to call in and defend them or tell me what I'm saying is wrong. And I never get that. Like when I post clips on YouTube or on Instagram, or I post videos and the LeBron fans are coming for me in the comments, I'm like, cool. Okay, I'm a hater. I'm a liar. Whatever you want to say, cool. And I always put this out there, and I'm putting it out there now. If you're listening, any LeBron fans, anything I've ever said in a video about LeBron that you disagree with, anything I've ever said, if you can prove it, if you can factually refute me and say that I'm wrong, factually refute me. Now that means find the evidence from a reputable source and prove to me that I'm wrong. I will do a brand new show. I will shout you out by name. Matter of fact, if you want to come on the show with me, you can. I'll shout you out by name, and I will tell the entire world that I was lying about LeBron. You caught me lying, and you proved me wrong. How about that? There we go. I'm putting the challenge out there to any LeBron fan. Do that. I'm waiting for you. Do that. I put the challenge out there constantly and nothing ever comes back. So that says to me that you LeBron fans who like to call me a liar and a hater, you know better than what you're saying. You're just saying stuff because it hurts your feelings and it takes your little tingle away when I get at your boy. But, so again, I'm putting it out there. This is the challenge to you, LeBron fans. If you can prove anything that I've said that is not true, right? If you can factually refute it with information from a reputable source, you do it. I will do a new show. If you want to come on the show with me, you can. If not, I'll shout you out by name and I will admit to the entire world that I was lying and you caught me lying about LeBron James and I'll take back whatever it was I said. How's that? We good? All right, cool. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wait for G to come back here, and then we're gonna go and we're gonna take it to the final topic, and we're gonna talk some NFL schedule release, right? Because this is really good, right? Obviously, we know in this country, man, as great as the NBA is, and we are in the thick of the NBA playoffs, and it's awesome, but NFL is king. NFL is king, and they have a way of doing things to never be far out of mind, right? So you know the saying, out of sight, out of mind. But the NFL never allows himself to be out of mind for too long. So we just had the draft a couple of weeks ago, and now earlier this week we had the NFL schedule release. By the way, quick side note: if any of you are boxing fans, I hope there's some boxing fans out there. Alexander Usyk beats Tyson Fury by split decision to become the first undisputed world heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era. So that was a shocker. I'm gonna watch the fight after I get done here. So definitely looking forward to that one. But yeah, didn't expect that. If I was a gambler, man, I would have gambled on Tyson Fury. But this kind of ruins things. Quick note on the boxing side. Hopefully we'll see a rematch. What I really wanted to see was Tyson Fury win in dominant fashion and set up a Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua. Anyway, let's get back to the NFL schedule release.
Hey, one second before we move
Yeah,
to football. We could probably
absolutely.
tag this on at the end, but I just wanted to know real quick, like, who did you have winning against the Knicks and the Nuggets? I mean, the Knicks and Indiana.
I got the Knicks.
Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
And we got what, the Mavs and OKC.
I got the Mavs.
Mavs.
Yeah. So with the Knicks and the Pacers, to me, it's just my old school mentality. It's defense, it's grind, it's rebounds, and I think at the end of the day, that's going to be enough. And I think we're going to get one more heroic performance in that series from Jalen Brunson in the Game 7. And what do they say? 2 best words in sports, Game 7. So
Game
yeah,
7.
I can't wait to see it.
And then,
Nino, can you do a debate on why old basketball players and current basketball players don't respect each other, unlike football? All right. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. I don't know if you want to. I guess we can save that for another episode. I think I had a while back, maybe a couple months ago, I had my guy Mel hosted a Man Down Sports podcast. By the way, that's another really good show. Make sure you check Mel out, Man Down Sports. Go give him a like, go give him a subscribe. Really great show. And he was on and we kind of talked about that. But yeah, we can do another show about that in the future because it's definitely an interesting topic. And I have some ideas on why that is. But yeah, we'll do that in the future. All right, so let's go NFL schedule release. So the NFL released its schedule, and this to me had some definitely some interesting notes. And G and I, we're Baltimore Ravens fans, so I want to start there. I'm not gonna go through every team, of course, that would have you here all night. But let's start with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm gonna put their schedule up on the screen where you guys can see see their matchups, and then G and I will touch on some of the games we're really looking forward to on that slate. All right, so obviously the Thursday night opener in week 1, they play at the Chiefs. That's a tough one, but I think that's the best time to catch the Chiefs right out of the gate. We know that in preseason, a lot of the superstars don't play, so it might be a really good time to catch them before they get rolling. Cowboys and Bills. So in the first 3 weeks, they have 3 division winners from last year. That's a tough way to open up. Obviously, Joe Burrow's back. They got Joe Burrow in week 5, so that's a tough quarterback slate. In the first 5 weeks, they play Pat Mahomes. They play Dak Prescott. They play, I'm not a big believer in Dak Prescott, but he's a good offensive quarterback. Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. That's tough. Then they get the Commanders in week 6. I think they can really feast on a young quarterback just out of college. They got Baker Mayfield and the Bucks on Monday Night Football. They got the Browns, the Broncos, the Bengals, the Steelers. Really looking forward to Week 12 against the Chargers, the Har Bowl. That should be a really good one. You know, the Chargers, that's going to be a chin strap game because the Chargers are going to want to run the football. They are going to want to play outstanding defense. And obviously they're going to rely heavily on the play action because that's just how Jim Harbaugh coaches. I'm going to put the schedule back up here. The Steelers, you know, that's going to be tough. Not sure who the quarterback for Pittsburgh is going to be by that time. Is it still going to be Russell Wilson? Is it going to be Justin Fields? Not exactly sure. The Texans in Week 17, that's a tough one on Christmas Day. Quick side note, second year in a row, the Ravens have a Christmas Day game on the road. The Texans are going to be even better. They got Stephon Diggs from Buffalo. That's another weapon for C.J. Stroud, who is very quickly moving into becoming an elite young quarterback. They have an elite defense. So, yeah, that's a tough one. And they finish out with the Browns. So, G, what do you see on it? You want me to put the schedule back up, man? What do you see there that are, you know, the major matchups you're looking forward to or even concerned about?
Of course, the AFC North games with the Bengals,
yes,
Browns, Steelers, that'll never change. I don't think, and I probably shouldn't say this. I'm also looking at the Cowboys game really closely because I may be flying to Dallas to watch that game, so I'm undecided about that. But of course, the Bills. I mean, all the AFC games will be important. There's always a tight race at the end, especially the Texans. They're up and coming, and they'll probably make a lot more noise with C.J. Stroud this year than he did last year. I think he'll come into his own and be an issue at the end of the year for us. But I mean, at Week 13, we should already clinch the playoffs. Even with this schedule, I still believe that we got better last year. I mean, this year we filled a lot of holes. We got good at a lot of positions that we needed to address. But it's the league, right? Any given Sunday, so you never know.
Yeah, man.
I think it will be a really good season for all sports fans, all NFL fans this year.
I think so.
A lot of teams are probably not the Cowboys, the Raiders.
Cowboys
the
lost a lot. The Raiders don't have a quarterback. Bills lost their they lost Stephon Diggs. But if Keon Coleman can come in be an impact guy as a rookie right away, but they also lost Gabe Davis, I think, to Jacksonville. So tough. They lost two guys who can really produce at the wide receiver spot. So yeah.
And then the Browns, they lost the center of their defense last year. So he should be coming back this year, but we don't know how he'll come back in Grant.
Right.
So all in all, I think it'll be a good season for the Ravens.
I think so too. They're gonna have an opportunity with their defense. The Cowboys, they lost a couple of O-linemen, so that's good. So they're gonna be able to really get after Dak Prescott with the pressure. The Cowboys don't have an elite running back. I think they lost Tony Pollard and they re-signed Zeke. So that's going to be tough. They're not going to be able to run the football. So it's all going to be on Dak. And I think when Dak has a terrible record, I can't remember the exact number, but he's got a terrible record when he has to throw 40 or more times. And he also has a losing record when the Cowboys rush for under 100 yards. So all those play into the hands of the Ravens.
Can you put a – go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. What you got?
Can you put a W next to all the NFC teams that we played?
Well, I definitely think it's going to be a W with the Cowboys, W the Commanders, W the Giants. So you might be right, brother. But the Bucks are always going to be tough. They're going to play good defense, and Baker Mayfield is a solid quarterback, and he's got weapons. He's got Godwin. He's got Mike Evans, who they re-signed. So, yeah, it's that's going to be a tougher game than you think. But I think it's fair to say they're probably gonna beat the Broncos because they're gonna be able to feast on Bo Nix. So yeah, the schedule doesn't look bad. I actually didn't do win-loss because again, that AFC, man, the AFC is gonna be tough. But I think they start out with a win at Arrowhead on Thursday night to open up the season. Let's hear what Chris Sims from Pro Football Talk had to say about the Ravens schedule. He had some interesting thoughts, and we can come back to that.
Hey, this is definitely one of the schedules I looked at and went, this is a little dangerous in my opinion. I mean, again, hey, the Ravens, we know they're good, but for as good as they were last year, right, they had as much roster turnover as I can remember a team in the championship game having in recent history, right? When you look at it, all the old linemen that are gone, Patrick Queen's gone, right? I mean, they had a deep group of guys that are not on the team that they flipped over. And I'm not saying they're not going to be good. I know they're, this is the Ravens. They're going to be good. But, like, how good, how quickly? I guess that's what I'm saying, right? You lose 2 interior O linemen. Your tackles are gone. You got new guys there, new middle linebacker. The secondary is going to be completely different, right? So that's where Derrick Henry's new to the mix. So that's where I look at the Ravens and go, yeah, I know they're the Ravens. I know they're going to be good. I get it. But it's not exactly the same team that we saw last year. And, it's the Chiefs week 1. You could certainly be 0-1. The Raiders, again, chippy, we know that. But, I mean, again, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Bengals, I mean, you look at that and you go, hey, the Ravens aren't playing their best football there. They could be sitting there 2-3 or 1-4 a little bit and digging themselves in a hole. Like, there's real danger in that early part of the schedule, I guess is what I'm saying. It definitely opened my eyes a little bit when I first saw it.
You know what I didn't even mention in all those when we were going over the schedule, I'm going to bring it back up one more time, is that I got to look at the run defenses there, but I totally forgot the Ravens got King Henry. That's going to really further open things up for Lamar and for this Ravens offense, knowing that they will regularly be ahead of the chains because they can generally start out, and be at 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5 because they got Derrick Henry back there. That is huge. That is huge. I totally forgot about that. Your thoughts?
I feel like he made points, but the points that he made wasn't valid. We did plus up some key positions. We did lose Patrick Queen, but the guy that plays behind him is a lot younger, faster, and we don't have to worry about that salary cap. We knew that Queen was going to be gone when Roquan came in. It was just
It
a
hurts
matter
that
of
he
time.
left for the Steelers, though. That hurts.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, was he really like doing anything? I remember when he was by himself. The Steelers are going to figure out how to use him to his best ability, right? That's a Tomlin thing, and yeah, we're gonna have to worry about that. But I don't got him stopping King Henry. I don't have it happening.
Right.
I think that offense gives whatever defense that comes at it fits just on a smash mouth football aspect, and that's the AFC North in itself is all smash mouth.
It is.
So, I see Lamar Jackson that lost 30 pounds. It's a lot faster. He's working all year round. MVP, 2-time MVP. I look at the old line. We plussed up on our old line. Granted, the guys that we got will just be rotation guys. The rookies we picked up will be rotation. Is a rotation guy, but I think he'll start in the next 2 or 3 years, and it'll continue on. Tight end, the wide receiver slots. I really don't really see. I see a week 5 turning the corner, and then teams starting to feel it. Like, oh, we have nothing for these guys. They can throw the ball, they can run the ball. Their offensive line blocks. Defense, these young cats that we got. We picked up a super speed corner, which will probably make Marlon Humphreys play a little better now. Knowing that they starting to phase out the older corners. Look at our defense, picking up a safety.
If you got another safety, that makes things even easier. You can do even more with Kyle Hamilton now.
Yeah,
that's my guy. Obviously, Notre Dame, go Irish, but first team All Pro last year. That guy was, he's a legit Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. I think he had more clutch tackles than Patrick Queen, and so, I look at.
Well, in fairness, though, Patrick Queen did have a really good year last year. I was looking this up. He made his first Pro Bowl, had his career high in tackles and his career high in pass breakups. So, got to give the guy some credit for what he was been able to do last year.
Oh yeah, no question. You got to double team Roquan though.
Right, that helps a lot. But see, but look now, with Patrick Queen in the linebacking core with T.J. Watt, who's getting the bulk of the attention there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
Again, he may be in a position where he can do a lot of things because of the attention that TJ Watt is getting.
Yeah, it's gonna be and no one ever said it was gonna be easy, right?
No,
But
not at
it
all.
really depends on what Ravens and Steelers team line up on Sundays.
Of
Honestly,
course, of
yeah.
course, that's
But
always what it is, right?
but you start to see like a lot of those hungrier younger players that want that time, that next man up, that Raven mentality. You
Hmm.
start to see them like with a defensive coordinator, a defensive coach that came out of the ranks of the Ravens. You start to see like that. Oh yeah, it's my turn to step up and shine. And so I
Hmm.
look forward to the season. I think the Ravens going to do really well. And it's any given Sunday, man, like any given Sunday, I don't think we have as many holes as people think or believe, right? Because we would have kept a lot of players. So
Yeah, no, I can agree with a lot of that. It's definitely what kind of, I'm not gonna say worries me, but concerns me a bit is that they still have the second toughest uh, schedule in the league. So there's that. But when you're one of the best teams, you're gonna face that kind of thing. So it's definitely gonna be good to watch. But let's move on from the Ravens a little bit and let's talk about something else that got me is that Christmas this year is going to be on a Wednesday. And that's crazy because Christmas is normally the domain of the NBA, right? That's the first big TV date for the NBA. And over the last couple of years, the NBA pretty much, remember Friday? We got a chain. I got a chain, right? It's a Debo. So at this point, like the NFL is just taking whatever they want, like the Honey Badger, right? They Debo on Christmas Day. Christmas is on a Wednesday, and the NFL says, "Nah, we'll take that too." And they put two games on a Wednesday. So game one is going to be the Chiefs at the Steelers. That should be a really good matchup. Definitely, we don't know who the quarterback is going to be at that time. Is it going to be Russell Wilson? Is it going to be Justin Fields? Who knows? And then the second game is going to be Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans. So we were talking about this earlier. This is the second straight year that the Ravens have an away game on Christmas Day. Remember last year was Christmas night, and they really put it on the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. And this year they got to play the Texans, and that's going to be, again, a tough matchup. CJ Stroud is quickly moving towards elite, and he's got more weapons. He's got an outstanding young coach and an outstanding young defense. So, and those two games are actually, those Christmas Day games, I believe, are both going to be, yep, those are both on Netflix. Man, the NFL is just printing money, right? But anyway, that's going to be really good. Baltimore beat the Ravens in the divisional round of the playoff, beat the Texans in the divisional round of the playoffs last year. So I'm sure that the Texans will be up for that game. But yeah, two good ones on Christmas Day. And before we get out of here, let's run through the Monday night football schedule. Monday night is always good games as well. So the opener, the Jets at the 49ers, which I think is really good. Obviously, the league wants to get as much Aaron Rodgers as they can because they were really looking forward to getting Aaron Rodgers on TV a lot last year. And 4 plays into the year, he ripped his Achilles. And obviously, that New York TV market is huge, so they want to get as much of that on as possible. Week 2, Falcons at Eagles. Kirk Cousins, unless something happens, he'll be the starter, but very interested to see how long he lasts and if Michael Penix Jr. doesn't end up at some point this season taking over as the starter for the Falcons. Week 3, Jaguars at Bills and Commanders at Bengals. Doubleheader. Interesting. So that second game, the Commanders at Bengals, are going to have 2 LSU quarterbacks there. What is it? Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. Should be good. Jags at Bills. Joe Burrow and what's my guy's name? Josh Allen. Nice little quarterback matchup. I think the Bills probably win that one. Titans at Dolphins, Seahawks at Lions. Seahawks at Lions, I think will be a good one. I was disappointed though that the Seahawks didn't make a move to get Michael Penix Jr. in the draft. I thought that with their OC, I think it's Ben Grubb, who was with Michael Penix Jr. at Washington, that would have been the perfect fit. Fit for the area, fit scheme wise, and what they want to do. So I don't know why they didn't try to move up to grab Michael Penix Jr. I thought that would have been a smart move. What we got? Week 5, Saints at Chiefs. Not really a great one. Week 6, Bengals at Jets. I'm going to run through these and look for the ones I'm really more interested in. Chargers at Cardinals. That should be a more interesting matchup than we think. You've got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray. That'll be a chance to showcase them on a national stage. And then, of course, you got the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, and that team. What else? Bucks at Chiefs, Dolphins at Rams, Texans at Cowboys. Texans and Cowboys, Battle of Texas in Week 11, November 18th. That should be a good one. In that one, providing everyone's healthy, you'll see CJ Stroud thoroughly outplay Dak Prescott. Looking forward to that. Browns at Broncos. Browns will probably stomp them. Bengals at Cowboys. Falcons at Raiders. Bears at Vikings. Bears at Vikings. That one might be interesting. That could be a matchup of two rookie quarterbacks by then, Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy in a divisional matchup. Who knows where both of those teams are going to be in terms of the playoff chase in the NFC at that point. Could be very, very interesting and have legitimate playoff implications. And finally, Week 17 Monday night matchup, rematch of the NFC Championship game, Detroit Lions at San Francisco 49ers. Definitely want to see that one. Jared Goff just got paid, so we'll see. Anything stick out to you there, G? Did you miss that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they actually move team games around as the season go along. If I'm not mistaken. I think I've
Yeah,
seen.
they can flex games if
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't think they can flex Monday night games though, because just the way the schedule is. I would have to check. I don't think they can flex Monday night games, but I'll check. But yeah, so the NFL.
It might just be the Sunday night games.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there pretty much. G, do you have anything you wanted to kind of drop in regarding the NFL schedule release and the schedule coming up this season and what you might be non-Raven related, what you might be looking forward to the most, whether it's a player or a team or a particular matchup?
Is this Dak's contract year?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Cowboys a little close this year. Definitely looking at the Steelers really close. Just kind of see what they're gonna do with Russell Westbrook. Russell Wilson. Sorry, yeah, Russell Wilson and Fields.
Yeah,
that's gonna be some. It's gonna be interesting. Like just knowing how Tomlin works, it'll be interesting to see how he utilized both of those quarterbacks.
Definitely. I think the key is whichever one. Well, they're saying right now that Russell Wilson is the guy, but I think what we really got to pay attention to is that I think Justin Fields can end up taking this job because he's a really good fit, I think, in Arthur Smith's system. Arthur Smith had Ryan Tannehill in the Pro Bowl. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. And you know that Tomlin and the Steelers, being Steelers, they're going to want to run the football. They're going to want to play defense, run the football. And if you can run the football and then, of course, throw the ball off of that, that's a really good fit for Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson had the best years of his career. He had his championship years in a situation where there was great defense and running the football. So this could also really work out well for him.
Oh, yeah. Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame coach. Is never good when they, line up on the opposite side of the football game. And then there's also a lot of the rookie quarterbacks that came out this year. I'm looking forward to see how they span out, especially the guy from Chicago, guy that went to Chicago.
Caleb.
Caleb that actually moved Fields to the Steelers. So I'm interested to see how he span out, if that'll be value added to the failing Chicago Bears. Who else we got? Again, in New Jersey, I want to see if my guy's going to come back, Aaron. If he's going to come back on top and do Aaron thing. So that's going to be a really, really good football season outside of just the Ravens. I think we'll have a lot of good Sundays. There's a lot of good Sundays ahead of us this year. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll leave it right there. Almost 2 hours. Not bad. We will wrap it up right here. Listen, thanks so much For everybody who came in and checked out the show, thank you for your comments. Thank you for calling. Appreciate that. Make sure, again, you give us that like if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you share the show. Let other people know about it. We're trying to grow this thing, and we'll be back. Obviously, I'll have more shows coming out during the week. I'll have a throwback Thursday on Thursday. Not sure who's going to be the subject of that, and I'll probably cut this up and have different segments of it coming out in the next couple days. And as well, I'll probably have, I'll have shows reacting to different things that's going on in the world of sports between now and next Saturday. And of course, next Saturday, got another live show. So, yeah, I'll be back with you next episode. Thanks again, G. And we're out. Peace.